Hello and welcome to the last final match of the last Masters Series. I'm Randy Bueller, I'm here with Brian Kibler, and we're going to be watching to see whether Bob Maher or Gabriel Nassif will be the last Masters Series champion. These two actually play-tested this matchup last night. It's going to be Tinker against Enchantress, and what should we be looking for, Brian?
Well, I was actually there when the two players were playtesting last night. Originally, Bob Maher had planned on playtesting the matchup with Eric Froelich and I, and while we came to the site after eating dinner, Nassif was playing as Frank Canoe. So Bob just came up to Gabe and said, how about we just play this out ourselves? So they started off playing sideboarded games, and Bob won literally all of them.
Really?
Last night, then they played some unsideboarded games, and Gabe managed to take the advantage there.
What's the crucial sideboard card?
The card that really makes a difference in this matchup is Sphere of Resistance. Gabe's deck is based on going off by casting and recasting a bunch of inexpensive spells with Enchantresses and Words of Wind.
Oh, and Nassif does not look happy about his first draw.
And the Sphere of Resistance basically just shuts down that plan altogether.
Me too.
Sure. Oh, Nassif keeps it. Could be a bluff. All right, Maher won the die roll. He's playing the Tinker deck.
Nassif cannot be happy about this.
Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith. Remember when these cards were around? Metalworker.
Last time these cards were legal in Standard, Bob Maher was second place in the World Championships in Belgium.
Lost to Finkel, who was playing the same deck.
The exact same deck.
God, that's such a degenerate first turn.
It really is.
Quick turn one there.
Nassif notices.
Nassif's deck is capable of doing some silly things.
Yeah,
it just usually takes him a turn or two.
Nassif's deck generally can start going crazy around turn 3 or 4, but I mean, depends on what's in the rest of Bob's hand. It depends what Nassif has. It could be that he gets fairly close to locked up by then.
How many cards do you have left?
4.
Best 2 out of 3, and that makes each game a little more important than it is over in the Pro Tour.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of room to come back if somebody gets a good draw against you. And like we said, in the playtesting these guys did against each other last night, Maher had the advantage after sideboarding.
Yeah, Nassif really needs to win game 1. We were actually joking around last night that, since Bob had won every game after sideboarding and Nassif had the advantage before sideboarding, Bob was going to win game 1 today, and Nassif was going to end up winning the match, taking 2 after board.
Well, there's Exploration. That's about as good as Nassif can get on the first turn.
Exploration is what he really wants here, because something like Fertile Ground or Wild Growth can just end up getting locked down under Tangle Wire and Port.
Mm-hmm.
What Bob really wants here is his hand to be Island, Artifact, 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 Stroke.
It's better than tinkering something out?
Yes. He'd rather reload his hand right here, because he could tinker for Helix, but the thing about Helix against Nassif's deck in game 1 is that Frantic Search basically just gets out of it. So,
yeah, Helix doesn't seem like it's at its best in a matchup against Enchantress.
It's fine. I mean, it's actually very important in the matchup to keep them tied down long enough that they can't just go off.
Using ability.
All right, let's see what's up. Processor, Core, Dynamo. Ugh.
You can just process it for 10 here and just cast it and make a guy.
Yeah? Dynamo doesn't quite fit in there, does it?
No.
It does if he has a land.
I'm going to pay 10 life.
There you go. 10 life and make a guy, and it's the second time he's tapped that Ancient Tomb, so he's at 6.
Life is pretty much irrelevant against Nassif's deck. The only relevance of life here is Ancient Tomb and Mana Burn.
Yep.
Oh, he's
So-
got a land.
Yep.
So the rest of his hand is what was it?
He has a Mastercore. The only
Mastercore
card we know.
and X.
So, what's Nassif's route to victory eventually?
And Nassif eventually will get. His plan is to get multiple Enchantresses in play, and cast low casting cost enchantments like Wild Growth, specifically Wild Growth, with Words of Wind on the table. And then he's able to float a lot of mana with enchanted lands as well, and Serra Sanctum. Use the Words of Wind to return his Explorations and Wild Growths to recast them and keep getting mana and using Words of Wind.
Okay.
And he can also get infinite mana with Cloud of Fairies in the same way if he has multiple enchanted lands or Serra Sanctum.
Okay.
And eventually just return all of his opponent's permanents with Words of Wind while keeping his board completely stable.
Mm-hmm.
And he can literally just kill them with his one Yavimaya Enchantress in his deck. He just draws his entire deck with Enchantresses.
Oh, that's the +2/+2.
Yes, cast the Enchantress and just attacks them and kills them. Most of the opponents just concede.
Sure.
He actually didn't know how to go off during the gateway.
Yeah?
He wasn't really sure what he did, what to do. He actually came up to me after he won the gateway. He wasn't qualified for the Masters Series.
That's true. He came all the way through the gateway.
He actually came up to me after the gateway and just said, "Do you think my deck's good? I don't really know how it works. I just beat 3 Goblin decks. They just conceded." It was really amusing, actually. Last night during playtesting, at one point he just showed Bob his hand. He's like, I think I win. And he didn't actually realize how to go through it at that point. He had to learn last night. Oh, that's a paltry token. They should make player rewards that are just minions and they just say 10-10 on them because that's how big they almost always are. See, Nassif could actually just go off next turn. It's very hard.
I just drew 1.
Did he really just draw Tangle Wire?
I'll take it.
That would be amazing.
10.
Yeah, I mean, Nassif with 4 lands and Enchantress and Exploration could go off. Maher would like to disrupt him here. Just needs a turn.
Nassif's hand has to be very good to go off this turn. But he can still just play. He can play out multiple Wall of Blossoms or Enchantresses that at least chump block the 10-10s.
Use his ability. Yeah. Sure.
He has a Tangle Wire.
Wow.
Tangle Wire. I'm going to end up burning for 1, dropping you to 5. My turn.
Nassif needs to float mana here and
Have a
draw
Frantic
a Frantic
Search.
Search.
He's facing down 1 10-10. Another's going to come down, so. Nassif pretty much has to win this turn.
Nassif has to win this turn, basically. I mean, he has to at least Frantic Search out of the Tangle Wire. There's nothing he can do. If he doesn't
do
Frantic
something
Search
about a
Tangle
pair
Wire.
of 10-10s.
Yes. He doesn't look like he is. Like it's likely that it'll happen, though. Both these players are very accomplished in the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Here meeting in the Masters Finals, not especially surprising.
No, I'm actually surprised Nassif had to go through the gateway. I didn't realize he was out of the Masters.
Apparently, he was almost falling off the train before his Venice finish.
Really?
Absolutely. Nassif top 8 in Venice last Pro Tour.
Right.
Bob with 2 top 8s this season, one of the teams, one in New Orleans, or Houston rather.
No, I Tangle on this stack. Take a blue. 2 green and reflects 9. 3 green. Okay.
Yep. Taps all his lands for mana. Allows the Tangle Wire to resolve. Hopes to top deck
Burn for
Frantic
4.
Search and burns for 4.
Oh, there it is.
No, he does have the Frantic Search. All right, he's got game.
So he can theoretically.
We'll get to untap 3 lands. He gets to sauce up his hand a little.
Did he just draw? It looked like he just drew 3 cards.
No.
Okay. Maybe he was just sliding them very slowly.
We've never had a gateway winner win the Master Series, right?
That's not true. Here last year, Alexander Witt.
Oh, Alexander
Or
Witt,
not
you're right.
here, but this time last year
Sure.
in Nice.
Sure. To construct the extended one.
He was playing in this one. Only way he qualified.
Fair enough. That's the only time it's happened, though, right?
Yes.
Wait, did it happen in teams one year?
Well, yes. The team, AlphaBetaUnlimited.com,
Yeah,
won
came through the teams.
won the first team Masters after they won the Gateway.
All right. Nassif's deciding what to discard. He's got an Enchantress, so all his enchantments are extra cards. Definitely not an easy situation to win from,
Not
but
at all.
it is doable.
He needs to literally go off this turn.
Is there any way to take advantage of the fact that Bob's
Well,
only on
he
5?
actually could, if he untaps his lands, he actually could play a Wall of Blossoms and Seal of Removal and give himself another turn.
Sure. He's going to get tangled again on the next turn, though. Like, Tangle Wire for 3 is still plenty. He'd have to have another Frantic Search. Discards Forest and, is that Words of War?
Yeah.
Or Words of
Wind.
whatever, Wind.
Words of War would be gas. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. Wild Growth. Draw a
So,
card.
Yep.
You had... How much mana did you have in your pool now?
Yeah, he burns for one.
Burns for
Sorry.
one. Okay. He burns for one.
I
Yes.
like this. Yes.
Yep.
Life total's 5 to 8. Almost irrelevant.
He can play 2 lands this turn, too.
Yep.
Take one.
Another Frantic Surge.
He's going for it. He's making a go at that going off here.
You had a very good draw as well.
Both players were talking yesterday about how, while the games they were playing last night were generally fairly fast-paced, that when they actually played them today, they would take a long time.
Discards the Sanctum.
Literally, some games, Bob would just be like, see if you can kill me.
He just discarded Frantic
say go.
Surge?
Oh, wow.
He discarded Frantic Surge to Frantic Surge.
He must... Well, I mean, if he has enchantment, it seems like that's what he has to do.
It's
not
still,
sure.
it's...
He only has 2 cards left in his hand.
Is that right?
With only 1 Enchantress in play, it's really hard for him to go off from this position. This
So he
early.
has to
One
keep...
blue.
He has to keep an enchantment and an enchantress.
Oh, there's
Oh, there's
there's
seal.
seal removal.
That'll deal with one
It
token.
can give him a turn. It can give him
Not
a
yet.
turn.
He needs
Yeah,
something else.
he needs a Wall of Blossoms or an Enchantress to jump with.
Yep. Enchantment. Draw 1 card. Second seal would do the trick too. Except he doesn't have blue mana.
Enchantress Presence.
Cracks his knuckles, needs a little help here. Get any help?
Doesn't.
Go.
Oh,
So you burn for one?
No.
Oh, I thought you had 1 green left and then tap
Ah,
these 2.
Jades.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll make another 10-10.
Nassif's dead here. He has nothing for 1. He doesn't have Unsummon in his deck, so.
yep, there you go. Game 1 to Bob Maher. The processor for 10 on turn 2 was good enough, but only just barely. Welcome back. Bob Maher has taken a 1-0 lead over Gabriel Nassif. That's 2 out of 3 in the finals of the last Master Series event ever. Maher actually looking to leapfrog his way up the career money list here. If he wins this match, I believe he winds up 3rd. Ben Rubin's been sitting in 3rd place for quite a while on the strength of 2 Masters victories of his own, but I think several people are going to leapfrog him here. Castle got a bunch of money, Maher got a bunch of money. A little bit of a shake-up there. And Johnny Magic looking to close the gap between 1st and 2nd as well, sitting in the Pro Tour top 8.
Coming back this season, the ghost of Pro Tour past, as someone said this weekend. He had top 4 at Chicago earlier this season, and now he's in the top 8 again with what looks to be a monster of a deck.
All right, so Bob Maher trying to win the Master Series here, up a game, and they played a dozen sideboarded games last night. Nassif won 0 of them.
Yeah, Gabe cannot be happy with going to this position here.
Maher was actually taunting him between games, saying that, what, just because my 2 draw phases were Processor and Tangle Wire? Don't know if that was true or not, but we know he did not have the Tangle Wire when he revealed his hand from Metalworker. Well, he either didn't have it or chose not to show it.
Slow roll would be nice, but I don't put Bob on that there.
Would he have shown it? He could have slow rolled it, right?
It
Now, if he gets 2 more mana, he can
slow
bust
roll
it out.
Tangle Wire. I wouldn't slow
Yeah.
roll Processor.
No. Well, he's claiming that he top decked it on his first
Yeah.
turn. Would he have kept the the all mana Metalworker no threat draw?
Well, he has a Masticore, and the deck literally like with the deck you have it's nothing but mana and threats.
Right.
It's a lot of mana and some just enormous threats.
Because Masticore's not that much of a threat.
It's not much of a
against
threat
Enchantress.
against the Enchantress deck, but I mean you can just draw like a Tinker. He also had Upheaval in his hand. The spotter tells us.
Oh,
So
okay.
if he has another island, then he can just get the Metalworker Upheaval draw,
Fair enough.
and he can reset Gabe from any position.
Nassif kept his quickly. Maher studying his own draw.
Nassif without his trademark yellow hat.
Yeah,
He hasn't
yellow.
won it in a long. He hasn't worn it in a long time. It's very, very sad. I don't think it would fit on that hair though. It'd sort of be hovering over his head like a halo.
I'll keep.
Go.
Turn 1 Wild Growth.
I take 2.
Ancient Tomb.
Sure.
Sphere.
of Resistance on the very first turn. That is bad times for Gabriel Nassif.
It's true.
He can't remove it, right? It's just stuck.
His deck cannot get that off the table.
So he just has to try to go off while paying
Go.
an extra 1 for every one of his spells.
Yes. Which is actually entirely feasible. I mean, if Bob doesn't have really any pressure, he can set up and manage to...
So City of Traders, that plus Ancient Tomb is 4 mana.
Metalworker.
There's Metalworker. Paid the
Nassif
1
really
more
needs
for
a
it.
seal of removal to get rid of that. Well, to get rid of it for a turn at least.
Yeah. Mostly he needs to build up mana so he'll be
Yes.
able to go off, right?
Absolutely.
Go.
Pays 4 mana for Enchantress's Presence.
Now just look at how this game would have looked if he hadn't played Sphere of Resistance.
Yeah, he'd have
on
been
the first
turn 2 with Presence.
Turn 2 Enchantress.
Turn 3
3
Fertile Ground.
something else. I'm
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
I mean, he would be up. He'd be having. Oh, here comes the Metalworker.
All right. What do we got, Bob? Tangle Wire, Voltaic Key,
Metalworker.
Voltaic Key. Not bad. 6 mana.
6 mana.
Does he tangle him up here?
I think
He
he
needs a threat.
5 mana.
4
mana.
Oh, 4 mana.
Yep. Pays 2 for the key.
3 mana.
Untaps the Metalworker. 3 mana left.
7 mana.
Up to 7.
So
Up to
9
9.
mana.
9 mana.
No, he must have a stroke.
Stroke.
Yeah, it sure looks like a stroke. Island. Bye bye City
12
of Traders, but
12 mana.
Stroke for 8.
Stroke me for 8.
Nassif does the
Okay.
math. Yep,
Okay.
you paid 1 extra for it, didn't you? All right. Wow. Nassif just leans back and shakes his head.
It's like, so you have Key Metalworker, and I have Enchantress's Presence, and you have 10 cards.
I mean, it's not clear that Key Metalworker stroke would have been fast enough if it wasn't for that sphere.
Absolutely.
It's all the sphere.
Sphere is absurd in this matchup. I mean, if I was playing Enchantress deck and I could name 1 card that I wouldn't want to see on the other side of the table, it's Sphere of Resistance. And it came into play on turn 1 in this game.
And Nassif knows it. You can look at him. He's just, he knows what's up.
He's like, yep. He's just sitting there whistling. He's like, you done yet? I would have cast a spell and say go. There were some really amusing games that I saw last night when these two were playing that involved stuff like Metalworker, Key, add 12 mana, Upheaval, play Metalworker, Sphere, Helix, go.
Maher does have to discard some cards, so that's the good
Tragic.
news.
Tragic, really. I'm sure he's hurting inside. Nassif just rocking back, scratching his head. Dum de dum de dum. Another bit of good news for Nassif. Bob's at 14. If you can get Yavimaya Enchantress down, you know, it can do
like-
some damage.
It'd be like, what, 8/8 here?
It would be 5/5.
Oh, 5/5.
5/5.
+1/+1, yeah. There's a lot of work to do.
He needs to Ancestral Mask it is what he really needs.
That's what I was thinking. I was imagining with a mask on.
Then it would be gigantic. It would be 12/12. Crunch.
Nassif just whistling. Bob very serious, trying to make sure he doesn't mess anything up.
What did he discard? He discarded like Tinker and Helix? Good luck to you, Gabe.
Discarded a Metalworker, an island, and a
looked
pair
like
of
a blue
monoliths.
spell.
2 monoliths and a Metalworker.
When your opponent has Metalworker in play and is discarding artifacts,
Yeah.
it can't be good for you.
Hey, but he's got a 2-mana Wild Growth.
Yes. 2 more. He can cast another 2-mana spell this turn. That would be very impressive. Oh, a 3-mana spell. It could be the Yavimaya Enchantress. Frantic Search. Ooh, he could actually do something. I don't know really if he can do anything that's going to do much damage here, but
He's just, I mean, he's got to try to play his game, pay an extra.
he needs to somehow activate Words of Wind several times. He needs to activate Words of Wind 4 times this turn somehow.
It's not like he needs to win this turn, though. He needs to build up his position so that he can win.
Well, he can get Helixed
Next
or
turn or-
Upheavaled next turn. Bob can just play Island Upheaval and replay a bunch of mana artifacts in the Sphere.
Upheaval would be a problem.
And he just stroked for 8.
Yeah.
So he very may have one in his...
Yeah, Upheaval is...
Upheaval's the card in this matchup for Bob. I mean, other than Sphere, clearly, but Upheaval's the card that actually wins the game. Sphere's the, Sphere's the card that makes the game not get lost on turn 4. Helix isn't good enough, generally.
Right.
Helix can pin him down for a little while, but ultimately it's the Upheaval that seals the job.
How many cards do you see?
5.
Okay.
Yeah, he's only going to have 3 cards after this Frantic Search. It's really difficult to go off from that position. You'd have to play... I don't really want to do the math and try to figure it out. To be perfectly honest, he's sitting there thinking about it, and I have to imagine what cards could be in his head. I'll let him figure it out and see what happens. Gabe actually has Ray of Revelation in his sideboard rather than Naturalize, because he was afraid of the Mirror and Alurin decks.
Interesting.
More so than Tinker. Interestingly, there I believe 1 Alurin deck, 1 Turboland deck, and 5 Tinker decks in the Masters. I believe Tinker was the most represented deck in the Masters.
At 5?
I believe so.
It's a pretty diverse field, actually. Nobody had more than 5.
I mean, I didn't see all the. I mean,
It sounds
given
right.
that we were sequestered, and my first match took 3 hours. I didn't really see much of the rest of it. So, Nassif was actually waiting to play his semifinal match while I was playing round 1.
Yeah.
I actually played the Tinker Mirror in round 1. That was exciting.
Whee! Discards Island and, it looks like, Yavimaya Enchantress. Untaps all 3 of his lands.
So there's 3 cards here. Nassif really doesn't have much in the way of sideboard cards either. I'm actually, I actually couldn't hear our spotter when he was explaining the sideboarding that Nassif chose to employ in this match.
I have 1 blue and
Is he Frantic Searching again?
Could be
One blue
Enchantress's
and
presence number 2.
Oh, it could be.
1 blue and 1 green left.
Okay.
Cloud of Fairy.
Cloud of Fairies. Very exciting.
With 2 cards left in hand. This is going to take some doing.
Presence number 2. It's a start. He's got the second Enchantress. Now he can sort of start. Why the Cloud of Fairies there?
He needs mana to get out of under the. He produces 5 with those 2. It only costs him 3. It nets him 2 mana to cast Cloud of Fairies.
All right.
And mana is what's really at a premium here with Sphere in play.
1 blue left.
I think he can't he has to have the second Cloud of Fairies here in order to do anything else this turn, I believe.
Sounds right.
Actually, no. Has he played
He
one
gets
land
his
this
exploration land.
turn? He's already played 1 land this turn.
Yeah, so he has one. He has 1
Yeah,
floating.
so he can only produce 3 mana.
If he's going to
total
keep going, it's going to require a Cloud of
Yeah.
Fairies. All right, plays his exploration land. It's 1 floating. Plays an additional exploration. All right, draws 2
Okay,
cards.
So now he still has 1 mana floating or no?
I have no
No,
mana.
he has no
He has
mana.
no
floating.
mana. Oh yes, because of the Sphere. Yes.
So if
And
his
he can play
if
one
this
more
land is a
land.
sanctum, then he can keep going.
Yes, he has to
He
have
gets
Sanctum.
1 land drop. Nope, no sanctum. He tried.
No seal.
Yeah, that's what he really needed.
Oh,
was
seal. Oh, for the metal worker, sure. Yeah, went digging for seal removal. That makes sense. Did not come up with it.
Nassif's sideboard, we didn't get a chance to look at it as I was saying before. He has Gainsay in his sideboard, but given the effect of Helix and Tanglewire on the matchup,
whatever.
Gainsay just isn't
All right,
fast enough.
now we get to find out what Bob got from his stroke. This is a stroke to set this up.
Yeah.
10 mana.
10 mana. 19 mana.
9 mana.
Yeah.
19 mana.
Yeah.
They apparently did Born in the Gainsays, our spotter tells us.
Okay.
Which he hadn't been doing last night. Which I guess he decided that if he was going to have any chance of winning,
Yes,
he
it's not
needs to switch
possible.
things up.
16 mana.
24 mana.
24.
Was that was Helix wire wire?
What was it? Two tangle in Helix and a dynamic.
Oh, here comes the upheaval.
Upheaval.
Wow.
How much floating?
19.
Upheaval
24
19
colorless.
floating.
2 blue. Yeah, 24 floating plus
24 floating.
the 2 blue.
So
Wait,
19
wait, wait.
You don't have the mana to gainsay, Gabe.
Yeah.
19.
14 floating.
14.
And Nassif concedes. There it is. Bob Maher.
Masters champion.
Bob Maher wins the last Master Series.
This program is brought to you by Magic the Gathering, the trading card game of strategy and imagination.